Hello, how are you guys? Who's a little tipsy out there? Good, that means you're doing the right thing. My name is Kate Headings. I'm an editor at Food & Wine, and I'm delighted to welcome you all to the 35th anniversary of the Food & Wine Classic in Aspen. Woo! It is my pleasure to be here right now introducing my friend and amazing chef, Scott Conant. Scott is no stranger to the classic. He was actually named a Best New Chef back in 2004 when he was just a little baby chef. But he has gone on to do unbelievably great things on TV and with cookbooks, and now he has restaurants all over the country. He has restaurants in Miami, Vegas, Phoenix, Los Angeles, and he just opened his first solo venture in New York City in over a decade. He opened a restaurant called Fusco. So who here has been there? I know a few of you have been there because you've been coming up to tell Scott. It's off the charts. It's so good. If you're in New York, you must go. And here's a little pro tip from me. Scott makes the very best pasta al pomodoro in this country. I'm not exaggerating. If you go, it's the best spaghetti and tomato sauce you will ever have. So, before we begin, we have a little special something from courtesy of KitchenAid that you and a guest are somewhere in here are going to be given a rare opportunity. Tomorrow in the St. Regis Courtyard with Andrew Zimmern at 12:30, they're hosting a Facebook Live make-along, which is an opportunity to cook alongside Andrew Zimmern. There is a golden ticket. There are 2 golden tickets, actually, under 2 seats. We ask you to look now and see if you can find it. Let us know if you got it. Anybody? You got one? There's one. There should be another. I can't see so well, so, okay, whoever got it, congratulations. If you can just stay after the seminar and come over here, we'll tell you all about it. Congratulations, that's awesome. And now we have to do something really important. We have to make Carla Hall next door know that this is the right seminar, and we are gonna be giving Scott Conant a massive Aspen welcome, okay? So let's do it now. Ready? Come on in, Scott.
Whatever it takes, 'cause I love the adrenaline in my veins. I do whatever.
Thank you. Wow. Thank you very much. I think you guys were louder than Carla's crew next door, so that's really all I appreciate. So we're going to cook a couple things Italian today, if that's okay with you guys. Thank you. So I tell a lot of jokes. Most of them are a little off color, so I apologize in advance for my dirty mouth. I've gotten in trouble before, and I'll probably get in trouble again. But they keep inviting me back, so here I am. And most importantly, thank you all for being here, because every time I do one of these things, I'm always wondering if people actually show up. So it's good. It's good of you. Clearly, you wanted to get out of the sun, so thanks. Thanks for that. So first thing we're going to do, by the way, let's make it super casual. If you have any questions, just raise your hands, and we'll make it nice and easy. Any questions? Yeah. This gentleman wants to know about my hair. I think you need to get out more often, sir. That's yes, ma'am. I very rarely, if ever, use canned tomatoes. These are just sitting here, La Bella San Marzano. So apparently, they may be some kind of a sponsor. So this is what I use. That's right. Just paying bills. We're just paying bills, guys. That's it. I have a wife with very expensive tastes, so I know how it goes. I very rarely. I use La Valla. I use some stuff from Italy. Whatever. I mean, I don't use a lot of canned tomatoes. I use fresh tomatoes. So there was someone else yelled something out. Anyone? Someone?
You're married, but you said your wife.
I am married, but that's very kind of you. I'll let her know that I have options. Good stuff. All right. This is going to be great. So I also am going to apologize. I just had surgery on my throat about 8 days ago, so my voice is a little screwed up, and I am highly dosed on Percocet. So this is going to be great. So good. Yeah, good. We can all join in together. Who's passing out the edibles? That's my question. All right. So first thing we're going to do, we're going to make some macaroni. John is a good friend of mine. He made some of this fresh macaroni yesterday through the KitchenAid extruder. Look at this stuff, first of all. Can you get that, sir? How amazing is that? Well done, brother. Well done. Yeah, look at that. Look at that little macaroni. So this is how I started cooking Italian food. My grandparents are from Italy. My mother's mother, my mother's father. I just opened a restaurant called Fusco in New York City. That's her maiden name. My grandmother's maiden name. Oh, I know, I'm a good boy. It's in, if you're familiar with New York City, it's the old Veritas space on 20th Street between Park and Broadway, directly across the street from Gramercy Tavern. So, yeah. You guys have heard of Gramercy Tavern? Yeah. The way I look at it is, I could, just on the people that can't get into that place, I can make a really good living, you know? That's the way I look at it. John, could you do me a favor? Can you slice these tomatoes in half for me, sir, please? So we're going to do a little macaroni. This is one of those situations where, you know, you always have the go-to dish where it's something really simple and very easy that is the thing that you feel like, well, let me just throw this on and I can get this going in a few minutes. This is my go-to. So I have a tomato sauce, which I don't know if anybody's ever had it before. Kate had referenced it before. It's a pretty well-known dish, fortunately. It's been on the cover of a few magazines. This is the actual sauce itself. But that takes hours to make. We have to peel and seed the tomatoes and squeeze it and cook it. And But so this, if I have this around, what I'll do is I'll take these cherry tomatoes, cut them in half, and I'll make this sauce with this macaroni if I have time, all right? So that's what we're going to make for you right now. Fucking tough fucking crowd, man. So, by the way, for those of you who watch Chopped, I am much nicer than they make me look. He's disappointed. I always have to say that pretty much every cooking demo that I do, because I realize that there could be some kind of a reputation that I feel like I've developed over time, and it's because I'm a victim of a very, very tough edit, as opposed to a guy who just likes to tell it like it is. I think it's very important that when people come onto the show, they should know the truth. So I like to tell the truth, number one. And number two, I like to let them know how they can be better at what they're cooking. So, and if they don't want to hear it, then I'll let them know anyway. So that's, you know, the way I look at it. Any other questions at the moment? So this is what we're going to do. We have this macaroni. We're going to cook that in a moment. It's fresh, so it's probably only to take 3 or 4 minutes to cook. It is with semolina. So we'll have, it'll take a little more time to kind of cook through. In this pan, what I'm going to do, I have a shallot, I have some garlic. I'm going to have a little bit of extra virgin olive oil, crushed red pepper, those tomatoes, a spoonful of the fresh tomato, a little bit of oregano, a little bit of basil, and then the macaroni. I'm going to top it with a little bit of ricotta salata, Parmesan cheese, and that's it. This is really simple. I know it sounded like it was more than actually what it is, but it's simplicity. And for me, that's why I love Italian food so much, because it really is about executing simplicity and keeping it at its most simple. And that's why the technique is so important. So, all right, in this pan, it's a little bit warm, extra virgin olive oil, garlic, shallots, depending on your spice level. I like it spicy. So that was creepy. Thank you, brother. So in this pasta cooking liquid, I always call it pasta cooking liquid because I use this for a lot of different things. It's pasta water, obviously. I cook the pasta in it. I want it to taste like broth. There's no salt in this, right? No. Not yet? So I want it to taste like broth. So I put enough salt in there that it tastes just like broth. And you wonder why, right? You say, why? Why broth? Why not the ocean? People say the ocean. People say all kinds of things. I think depending on which sea or which ocean you're in, it could be a little bit too much salt. And also, I utilize that to adjust the sauces itself, right? So as that reduces, I don't want it to become overly salty. So I'm going to chop up a little bit of oregano right here. The other thing we're going to do is last year I was here, I made a little spaghetti aglio olio, and you know, that's just the most simple, straightforward dish in the world. And most Italians that I know, they love, that's their favorite pasta. And it is for me as well. But I wanted to use that as a foundation for other things. And that's where spaghetti with clams come to play and things of that nature. So we're going to do a little spaghetti clam also. And so this is with fresh pasta, and this is with dry pasta. So, all right. I cooked that oregano directly inside this kind of sofrito, if you will. The sofrito is this foundation of flavor. So I wish you could smell this, but it certainly smells. It smells like my cologne. If I was feeling fancy, I might add some anchovy in right now also, or some colatura. Colatura is the liquid runoff when you're preserving anchovies. So that's kind of like an Italian fish sauce, if you will. Very, very Roman, very Roman. All right, so once this stuff starts on the exterior of the garlic, what I like to do is just get a touch of brown for this backdrop of flavor. And again, this is all about technique. This is all about making sure that every step of the way is done properly. So you can't create shortcuts on this stuff. When there's shortcuts done here, your final product is wrong. So that's why on Chopped I get a little salty with some of these contestants. I get salty with them because I really want them to understand that you can't make shortcuts. There's no such thing as doing it halfway and expecting 100% results. I'm going to say that again. I'm going to let that sit there. Because that really has so many other things in life that kind of coincides with, right? So I'm going to add, oh, by the way, I'm going to top this with ricotta salata. The ricotta is inside the oven. What I like to do with the ricotta is I like to bake it. So it just has it dries out a touch, but it also has a nice little rounded flavor. So, all right. Cherry tomatoes. I'm going to turn up this flame so that it has, what's going to happen here is a couple things. We're going to have, these tomatoes are going to, the pectin in the tomatoes is all going to be released. All this liquid is going to be released into that oil, right? So the pectin is going to help thicken what this sauce is.
Do you have a preference on if you're not going to make pasta?
Yeah.
Preference?
I have many preferences in pasta. So, so my first choice is a pasta called pasta di Gragnano. It's, you can get it on agferrari.com. It is my favorite pasta, hands down. It's called pasta di Gragnano. Gragnano is a small town outside of Naples. A lot of the best pastas in the world, dry pastas, are made there. I do not think, a lot of people kind of shoot down the idea of a dry pasta. I love dry pasta. I think it's awesome, and I think in many occasions it's much better than fresh pasta. The reason why restaurant chefs, like myself, the reason why I don't know why you laughed at that. The reason why we use why we don't use a lot of dry pasta in restaurants is simply because of time. And also the amount of attention to detail that it takes. If I take this pasta, drop it in the water, it's going to take 10 minutes to cook, but I'm going to have to continually check on it. Whereas this fresh pasta, I drop it in the water, it's 3.5 minutes in the water, 1 minute in the pan, and then it's on your table, right? So you're happy, I'm happy. Everybody's happy. But that doesn't mean that the dry pasta is a bad product. It requires a little bit more attention. All right. Does that make sense? Pasta di Gragnano #1. If I can't get that, I'll honestly, I'll probably use like Barilla or something like that. I like Barilla. They're nice people. All right, I add a little bit of that pasta cooking liquid. That shouldn't have happened. I'm gonna add 2 tablespoons of this nice fresh tomato, maybe 3, we'll add a little more, right? And we really want those tomatoes to melt. All right. Those tomatoes are melting. In the meantime, one of the challenges, I'm going to put this pasta water on a higher flame so that it comes to a boil. You good? We good? Everybody all right? I am really slow moving. I apologize. Normally, I'm really quick, but I got this surgery 8 days ago, and I'm like really kind of like mellow. So I'm not doing any of the parties. I'm not. You guys are meant to have a little compassion for me, by the way. Like, thank you. Really, stop it. No, but so I apologize. I'm not my normal. Knock it off. Knock it off. So I really wish you could smell these tomatoes because this is such a nice, fresh. I don't understand why people just don't cook a sauce like this at home all the time because it's so damn good and it's so easy and straightforward. All right, we have. Eventually, this is going to start to boil. Pasta in the. By the way, this is really nice. I really like that macaroni. That's beautiful. All right. So, pasta's cooking away, tomatoes cooking away. I'm going to check. So there's a good acidity inside there, with a little bit more salt. I like the spice. We're going to finish it with a little bit of fresh basil, and then we're going to grate. John, you want to get that ricotta salata out of the oven, please? All right, this is good. I got lucky on this one. This is, holy shit. So, one of the things that we want to make sure of when we're doing, so, yeah, just put it right on the board. I will take it right out of here. You could take that casserole away. Thank you, sir. Cheers. Perfect. So, I want that to cool down a touch. But you see the way these tomatoes are melting? Of course there's skins in there, and there's seeds, and as I said, that pectin is inside there and all that stuff. But there's also so much flavor that's being cooked into that and taken out of that, of those tomatoes and kind of in this sauce. So you'll never get those seeds or the skin as an issue with these cherry tomatoes because they're so tender once they're cooked a little bit. It's not like a Roma tomato or a beefsteak tomato where it's going to be an issue later on because the skins are thicker. This is just really tender and nice and supple, if you will. Supple. Yes. You could do anything. You could do, yeah, these are what they gave me today. Yeah, they're so nice. I walked up here and that's what they had, so that's what I'm using. Yes?
Never heard of, or have you ever used any vanilla to cut the acidity?
Vanilla?
Vanilla?
I've never done that. Disgraziato. Never. I would never do that. That's, oh my God. Stop it. No. Is that a thing that people do? People use?
I've heard in sauce that I've heard of people, I don't personally, I've heard of people adding sugar or adding vanilla to cut.
Yeah. I get that. But this is the reason. See, this is the thing. A lot of people use, there's a high acidity in fresh tomatoes, but there's also a nice sweetness in ripe fresh tomatoes. The reason why I don't use canned tomatoes a lot is because there's a lot of citric acid in there. And that citric acid becomes the issue. It isn't necessarily because of the acidity of the tomato itself. Anybody got a problem with that? Does that make sense? And I think that the vanilla So I'm cooking this about 80% of the way in the water, right? Now I'm going to take some of this pasta cooking liquid, put it inside there also, and then finish it. Jesus, Mary and Joseph, look at that. Seriously, I just want to rub this all over myself. He liked that one. Jesus, man. Close the curtains. I want to have a moment with it. So I'm going to continue to cook that down a touch. I'm going to add a little bit more spice. Do you see the texture of that? So what's happening? The starch in the pasta itself is being released with the pectin and with the pasta cooking liquid, right? And it's thickening that and creating a sauce on the exterior. But simultaneously, that tomato liquid is being cooked into the pasta itself and helping it cook a little bit further along. And that is what makes the pasta taste great. Well done. This pasta is beautiful, bro. Well done.
I'm not married, by the way.
John is not married. He just wants everybody to know that. That's funny. All right, fresh basil inside here. And again, this is just about the simplicity of the product, simple cooking. And you see that didn't take us any time to make something as fresh and beautiful. I mean, that just makes me happy, you know? That's good stuff. All right, let's see. You want to come up and taste it?
Yes.
Those are quite some boots you got on there. My goodness. Oh my. Hold on one second. Let me get the cheese in that.
Oh, yeah. I will. Oh, God. That's pressure.
Just whatever. If you don't like it, just don't be honest.
I signed up for CHOP. No
Did you?
one ever called
No
me.
one called you back. They keep calling me for some reason. So this is the ricotta salata. That's good, right?
So you're grading. I've never seen it graded like that.
I'm a chef. I'm a chef. All right. What do you think?
Unbelievable.
Is that good? So you see what I mean about the simplicity of those fresh tomatoes?
Yep.
That's not overly acidic, right? That's
Nope,
fresh and bright.
It's amazing.
It's good, right? Did you get it? Did you spill it in your glass? Don't you hate when that happens? We need a little more rosé for. Here, give me the spoon.
Thank you.
Yeah, dump your wine out. There you go. Thank you so much.
Amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Cheers.
So nice to meet you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Cheers. All right. Thank God that worked out. Good. All right. We're going to do a little spaghetti clams. Spaghetti vongole. One of the reasons why I wanted to do spaghetti, as I said, was it's really about the foundation of these dishes. It really is about trying to identify and also showing the differentiation. Number one, this is the dish you would totally use dry pasta for, not fresh pasta. Number one. Because those are the rules, all right? That's it. Now, you know what? I get this question so often. And I don't have a proper answer other than to say this is tradition. Obviously, you could use a fresh pasta and it's going to be fine. But there's something about the al dente texture. There's something about the way that the fresh pasta cooks with the clams and the way it's just tradition in Italy is everything, right? And it's really I don't have a proper answer to say we've done it a million different ways. This is the way they do it there, so that's what I'm doing. I wish I had a better answer. I don't have an answer. I'm just being honest. I could bullshit some stuff if you want. Whatever was up here. It's good stuff. Cats. Cat's olive oil. It's Italian. They have a deli in New York. I mean, it's great. Anyway. I use a company out of believe it or not, it's an Italian company that's also based in the town of Bulgari in Italy, which is on the Tuscan coast, and Scottsdale, Arizona. It's called Sogno Toscano, and do you know those? Do you know those guys? Do you? I live in Scottsdale now. All the cool people live in Scottsdale, apparently. Yeah. No. I just opened a place in Phoenix called Mora a couple months ago. What a great market. It's an awesome market. I moved there about a year ago, and I live back and forth between New York and Scottsdale. And I'll tell you, Phoenix is spectacular. Really good stuff. It's going to be 115 this weekend, so that's kind of hell. That's kind of hell. But all right, we're going to see how we make this work. So this pasta, this is spaghetti, obviously, and it is what's the brand? Just since we're talking about brands, Dreamfield pasta.
Healthy carb living.
Yeah. Dreamfield. No, it's okay. That's it. Even I have my. So, healthy carb living. No, we just looked at the box. So we were making fun of it earlier. So. All right. So what we have here is, all right. We have clams someplace. John, you know where the clams? Oh, here they are. All right, good. Yeah, perfect. Got it. All right. So one of the things I don't do with pasta, with spaghetti with clams, or pasta with clams, or whatever, is I never use white wine, right? Because is that? So I didn't realize it was going to be really that big of a deal, but.
The whole point is to open it and start drinking it first.
Well, that's different reasons. Yeah. But I like to cook this so quickly that, in my opinion, the raw wine never actually cooks out of it, right? So that's why I think it's important to not use it. And I don't think it's necessary because there's enough salt and flavor. I'm having a little bit of a hard time over here. So, John, you want to help me out with this thing? Thanks, bud. Thank you. So, one of the things that we, thank God for John. So, one of the things that I like to think, is that on? It's on. So, again, it's about this sofrito, right? Garlic. You got it? If there were more carbs in this pasta, it might be a little more pliable. All right. I hope the person from Dreamfield Pasta isn't here. So, again, we're using cockles. We have this garlic is cooking away here. And again, I'm going to throw the clams in when there starts to be a little bit of brown on the exterior of that garlic. But not too high of a temperature. I don't want the crushed red pepper that's inside there to cook too quickly. I'm going to add a little bit of salt. Clams are close. Garlic's close. All right, so this is what we're going to do. We're going to just, now, all right. So, when I was a young man, I worked with a lot of Italians, and those bastards, they treated me really poorly. But I learned a lot, and one of the things that I learned were these techniques of cooking pasta, and I think that when it comes to one of the things that Italians do so well, and they learn from those generations, and that their grandmother taught them this, and they do that. And that's what they do. And I think Italians do that probably better than most cultures. Yeah, of course. Yeah. What they don't do well is a lot of creativity and like creative stuff, right? So outside in the food world, take it easy. All right. Give her your wine. So. I think that the best parts of Italian cuisine for me are literally those dishes that their grandmothers have made over generations and over years. So as I learned how to make these dishes, let's get this out of here. So as I learned how to make these dishes, oh, we're gonna let it go a little more. That is like a real, that's like really something. So as I learned to make these dishes, I literally would have these people yelling over my shoulder, like, you stupid American, you don't know shit about anything. And they were probably right for the most part. But it taught me that, you know, the passion that I'm from Connecticut. I'm not Italian. I don't pretend to be. But I do think that it's very important to be able to understand those principles and understand those techniques and understand why the pasta is added when and those starch contents and, you know, the extraction of flavor from the crushed red pepper when it's added to the pan and the extra virgin olive oil at the temperature that you're cooking at. I think those are things that are extremely important when you're trying to identify the final product of what you're cooking, right? All right. So these crazy people that I worked with had a point, and that's how I learned from them. But some of my closest friends that I worked with, it still all makes sense. You know, it still kind of comes together at a certain point. And I feel like you can't, if you don't know how to make polenta like someone's grandmother, then you just don't know how to make polenta. You know what I mean? And you have to learn how to make this stuff the right way before you could change the rules and make it a different way. That's my belief system. So here, with this spaghetti, this is something that one of my old bosses, a guy named Tony May in New York City, he would walk into the kitchen, and he would get so pissed off at us for cooking things a certain way. He would literally take, like, we're going to have a lesson right now. Middle of the service, 300 people in the restaurant, and we're like, this is how you guys cook spaghetti with clams. This is how you're doing it. And we would, like, have to stop and, like, all this mayhem going on and watch him cook spaghetti with clams. It was like, but we learned, and that was the whole point, right? It was the whole point of making sure that eventually this flame is going to start heating up, and it's going to really work great. But basically, you know, taking that pasta, putting it inside I'm only covering this because I want this to come to a hard boil. Otherwise, I wouldn't do that. But I want that liquid that's inside there to kind of cook into that pasta. I want that starch to be released into that liquid so that there's this nice consistency and texture on those clams. And when it's tossed together, this little guazzetto that's on the bottom of the plate of clam flavor mixed with this pasta cooking liquid, with the starch content and all those things. And that's why I get like a little crazy on chopped, because unless you know how to do this stuff, you just don't know how to do it. You know what I mean? These motherfucking kids, I swear to God. Sons of bitches, I tell you. I'm turning into my father. You friggin' kids, I swear to God. So it's one of those things where, you know, inside you have garlic, olive oil, crushed red pepper, clams, spaghetti, and parsley. And when done properly, this is one of the best things you'll ever have in your life. You know what I mean? And what other cuisine can you say that about? You know, I'm sure there's a few, but who cares? That's not the point of the conversation. My father always taught me never let the truth get in the way of a good story. So, all right, any other questions at the moment while this? Yes, sir.
Do you always salt your pasta water?
Always.
Aren't there some of your colleagues on Chopped who say you shouldn't?
Trust me. They don't know what the fuck they're talking about. Trust me. I love Alex Guarnaschelli. I love Jeffrey Zakarian. But when they start talking about pasta, just turn the channel, right? Just turn the channel. Just, please. Please. It's sinful. It's one. I actually, you know what's funny? I actually had a cacio pepe lesson with Jeffrey one day where I had to sit him down and be like, Jeffrey, this is how you make cacio pepe. Shut the fuck up. Because you don't know what you're talking about. And Jeffrey, God bless him, he's one of those guys who was like, okay, all right, show me, let me see. And then he got it. He really got it. He understood.
Do you respect Alton and all of his scientific approach to food?
I don't, you know what? This is going to sound terrible, but I don't watch TV. Yeah, I know what happens. I know what they do. I think that I think that balance of identifying the scientific and the the practical is very necessary in cooking. But I think there's a lot of people that identify with the science side of things, not just Alton. Yeah. Any other questions? Yes. I got to tell you, you guys are tough. That's it. So years ago, this is the story with the onions. Years ago, we were doing a show. We were doing Chopped, and there was a young man that came on the show, and he was kind of a young punk. And I remember, by the way, I remember being a young punk. It wasn't that long ago for me. It was probably a long time ago, but it feels like it wasn't that long ago. And this kid just kept giving me raw onions, and I just kept saying to him, like, you got to do something with the onions. Just don't take an onion, chop it on a plate, and put it on the plate and think that this is haute cuisine. We're talking about cooking. We're talking about nuancing flavors. We're talking about haute cuisine. We're not talking about being served a bagel at a deli. There's a place for that. I love a raw red onion on a bagel with tomato and cream cheese, sesame bagels lightly toasted from Tall Bagels on 2nd Avenue. I love that. I think there's a place for that. But we're talking about haute cuisine. We're not talking about Tall Bagels, right? So the guy sassed me. He thought he was pretty funny. He was a young punk. I don't like raw red onions. I want them to do something with them. I want them to salt them. I want them to put them in ice water. I want to put them in vinegar, acidulated water, salt water with ice, vinegar water with salt and ice. I mean, do something. Don't do nothing. But what I like less than raw onions are young punks. That's the worst quality pasta. But the sauce is good. Who wants to taste this? Young lady, you ask the most questions. Come on up here. I don't know how much time we have.
How do you figure what size pasta you do, Mercatelli or angel layers?
It's a little warm. Be careful. I'm not a big angel hair person. It cooks way too quickly for me, and I don't like the texture of it. I like thicker pastas, things with a little bit more texture to it. You see how this has no wine, but it still has a good acid component because of the actual liquid from the clams themselves. Are you happy with that? Are you sure?
I'm very happy with that.
She's going to have more? You taking that? You out of here? See you later. Good. Taste the first one as well, since you're up here. Any other questions, guys? I know we have a bunch of stuff. Yes, ma'am.
Really, it's excellent.
How long does it take to film? So the filming of Chopped takes about 10 to 12 hours, depending on a lot of different factors, depending on if it's a special day, if it's a regular day, or otherwise. But yeah, we're together there at that table for a long time, and it's been 9 years now we've been shooting this show. We just got picked up through 18. I think they picked us up for. Thanks. They picked us up for I think a total of 6 more seasons. So we'll be shooting that for a little while longer. Yeah.
Who's a better chef, you or Zakarian?
Jeffrey, I will tell you, Jeffrey is a fantastic cook. Like a fantastic cook. Yeah.
I've been to both your restaurants, so I'm curious. I want to know your answer.
Well, what's your answer?
You, obviously.
No, that's
Your polenta is the best taste bite ever.
I appreciate that. You have great taste. I think that Jeffrey does a lot of things really, really well, right? Jeffrey has such good, impeccable taste. Are you holding up a sign? 5 more minutes? Jeffrey has impeccable taste, and when he cooks, like we do this show called After Hours. I don't know if you guys have seen it, where we actually cook those baskets. We have such a good time. Jeffrey is always on point. So is Alex. I mean, they're Iron Chefs for a reason. You know what I mean? They've done that so well. But I think the best cook on the Food Network in general is Bobby. Watching him, here's a guy, right? Here's a guy who calls you and says, come to my studio and tell me what your signature dish is. Name a dish. All right, I'm gonna cook it against you. And then he fucking wins. That's crazy, that's some crazy shit. That guy's unbelievable. Yes, sir.
Having multiple restaurants like you do, and being a perfectionist as you are, I'm just curious how you're able to maintain quality and consistency at the restaurants from coast to coast.
You know, the question is about maintaining consistency and quality on coast to coast. I don't. First of all, I think of myself as a cook before I'm anything, right? There's guys out there, the Zakarians of the world, who think of themselves as celebrity chefs. I think of myself as a cook, so I relate to my team on that level. I've done every job in every single restaurant throughout my 31 years, almost 32 years in restaurants at this point. I know I don't look that old.
No, you really don't. Really don't. I swear.
I already gave you something to eat. Knock it off. So that's very kind of you. Thank you. But I think that there's two things. I also want to be a coach. I want these guys to be better. Every team member, I say guys, meaning women and men in the kitchen. Because funny that it's changed the demographic of kitchens over the years, that I have more female line cooks than I have male line cooks these days. Which is great. I mean, I can think of no better compliment to give someone to say that you have a feminine touch with cooking, because it really is if someone tells me I have a feminine touch, I really take that as a great compliment. In the kitchen, outside of the kitchen, whatever. But the key I think is really empowering your team to make sure that they can make those decisions, giving them the knowledge that they need to execute at a high level, and then being forgiving in the sense where what's my percentage of slippage that I'm happy with, right? So if I expect that it's going to be 100% when I'm there, am I comfortable with 95% if I'm not there? And those are the internal dialogue that I'm always trying to come to grasp with. Because I'm one of those guys who in the middle of the night will have a dream about a particular dish, and I'll call my chef the next day and be like, take that dish off the menu. It's just, there's something that doesn't sit well. And they don't understand. But I don't expect them to understand. I expect them to trust just like I trust them. Yes, sir. Yes. I'm very sorry. There's yes.
You split your time between Scottsdale and New York?
I split my time. I just opened a place in LA called the Ponte. It's on Beverly. It's in Beverly Grove neighborhood, kind of close to West Hollywood. So between Phoenix, Scottsdale, Phoenix and Scottsdale, Scottsdale's home, LA, New York, Vegas, Miami, and I'm working on a few other projects in Dallas. Yes, say again?
So,
yes.
we're huge fans of Chef.
Chef, yes. Yeah, good.
Fans of Chef, and I'm wondering if you
You're the
can add
ones.
If you
Good.
can add your polenta.
The polenta is probably not going to happen.
No, come on.
I'm no longer affiliated with that
Really?
with that project. Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
found
It's a good idea.
I found it on your website.
Yeah, we walked away. We walked away from the thing. There's got to be
Never mind.
some. Yeah.
Miami, New York, Las Vegas, California, and Scottsdale.
Yes. Yeah.
For you, you should be very proud of yourself.
Thank you. I'm just trying to pay my bills, as I said. No, we have a lot of great projects that we're working on as well. Some stuff in Scottsdale. I'm working on a steakhouse in Scottsdale, potentially a steakhouse well, I'm doing one in the Catskills, also Resort World in the upstate New York. We're doing a steakhouse there as well, which is going to be in the first quarter of 18. And then in Scottsdale, we're working on this cooking school wholesale pasta thing, which is going to be a lot of fun also. So a lot of stuff, a lot of pots on the fire, so to speak. And when, if anybody's entrepreneurial here, you know how it works. You throw enough stuff up against the wall, you're hoping that something is going to stick eventually. So spaghetti at the wall. Yeah, exactly. Any other questions, folks? I'm getting the heave-ho. Yes?
I just would like to get your recommendation
You know, there's always, it's never going to be 100%, right? But my daughter is, I actually keep, believe it or not, I keep a gluten-free home. So my daughter, we don't eat a lot of pasta at home. Clearly, I don't need to. But there's some stuff at Whole Foods that we buy. There's a company called Chef's Warehouse for those in the industry. They actually carry a fresh gluten-free pasta, which is frozen, which is really good. What's the name of it? Capello's. Yeah, it's awesome. It's really good. So Capello's, there you go. Thank you. Thank you. Really good stuff. But yeah, I mean, there's always, I think it's again, goes back to that conversation of how much you're willing to forego as far as, you know, doing something that's really great and something that's a secondary product. But it's all good. Capello's, that's what I would go with. Yeah, good stuff. Any other questions, folks? Nothing? Guys, thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.